everybody. What's up? What's up? I am Jordan Robinson. I'm so happy to be back with you all to talk about WNBA and the off season, which has been so on fire. News has been coming out almost daily, almost hourly about what is happening. Will we get a season next year? That is still a question because the CBA negotiations are still live and on. I'll give you an update. This is what I know. This is kind of where we're at. We are going to talk about today moves and landing spots in the offseason about free agents or possible players that can move. But to get there, we have to have a WNBA season. So the league and the WNBA's Players Association, they have been at the bargaining table going back and forth about what next season and beyond can look like for the WNBA. A couple things that stand right now that stick out to me are some proposals that are on the table. And the players are not happy. This is just the surface. They still have a lot of things to talk about. But one of those big things is money, of course, salary. That's what everyone wants to talk about because the players want more of it. And the league doesn't want to spend a lot out of their pocket. Right now, the proposed max salary is around $1 million, which is a big jump from what it was before. Max contracts were about $250,000 before. Now they're saying that the minimum would be around $240,000, $250,000. That is incredible. I love that idea. They're also saying that salary caps would go up to about 5 million. But then the league came back and was like, whoa. We want to start the season in mid-March. We want to have a mandatory training camp. You have to show up, prioritization, all this stuff has to happen in mid-March. And the players are like, wait, what does that do with the draft? What does that do to college players? That is specifically said to make it seem like they can't do other things like an Unrivaled or a Project B. So it's saying if you don't show up to that, this is what the league is saying right now, then we're going to strip you or reduce your salary. All of these things. There's so much going on. But the one thing that we all want to know, will we get a season? And where will our favorite players be playing? I think those are the biggest questions. And as we go into this list that I have here of potential landing spots for some of these WNBA stars, as we start off with Arike, one thing that is constantly on my mind is the expansion draft. We have two new teams coming into the 2026 season, the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo. They are completely in the dark. They don't know when their expansion draft is. They don't know the roster that they're going to have or be able to choose from. So what we can do now is just dream, to think, to throw things out there about where some of these stars can go. Okay. There's a lot of people, you guys are already popping off in the chat of where you think these people should go. Let me just read off some of these. Fee is one of the top free agents. She's staying in Minnesota, and AZ will be in Minnesota. Okay, we're talking about drafts. Asia or Angel Reese to Washington. Get Asia in Brooklyn. Okay. Asia ain't going nowhere, and Asia to the Sparks. All right, well, we are going to talk about Asia Wilson in just a second, but let's first talk about Arike Gumbawale. The Dallas Wings are a very popular team in this offseason. Not only do they have a new coach, but they also got the number one pick for back-to-back seasons. Arike Gumbawale's name came up in mid-season trades. It was popular because Kurt Miller, the GM of Dallas, was making a lot of moves during that time. Arike was having a very down year. People were saying, all right, are you going to get rid of her? Is she going to stay? Is she going to get better? Does she actually work with Paige? There was a lot of questions. Now that they have the number one pick again, questions come up again. Is Arike going to be protected? In my mind, it's a no-brainer. Yes, you protect Arike. She is your franchise star player. But now you have Paige. Now you have another number one pick from a stacked draft class. That could be some serious superstars coming out of this. So here's a wild thought, wild prediction. I'm throwing it out there, okay? Arike doesn't get protected by Dallas. And I think she goes to Kurt Miller. She says, let me go. Let me fly. Let me go somewhere else. She doesn't get protected. She gets snatched by the Portland Fire. Huh? Hear me out. Arike going to the Portland Fire. Here's the thing. She is a free agent. So this is what would have to happen. If she doesn't get protected and she's free to go, the expansion draft happens before free agency happens. The Portland Fire would have to core her if at the end of the CBA negotiations, coring players is still a thing. That's something that's on the bargaining table. They would have to core her and make her their franchise player, and she would not be able to sign anywhere else in free agency. If they do not do that, then she could still sign somewhere in free agency and go there because it's free agency, right? That's what makes this expansion draft so crazy when 80% of the league is free agents right now. But let's say she wants to go somewhere else. She wants to try something new. Arike to Portland. Okay? They're silly if they trade Arike. There's no trade. She's a free agent. They could let her go. They could let her walk. And Portland will grab this. Jerry, Arike to Portland. Jerry's on board with me. Who else is with me? I think this is good. I think this is a fresh start for Arike. She needs it. She's had some down years in Dallas, not necessarily with her production, but just struggling. Some tough years where she thought the tides would turn when they got the number one pick in Paige Beckers, but their season was still in the mud. I can see her being totally done with this organization and wanting something new. All right. Again, lows for her last year. She did not make a WNBA, all WNBA team. It's interesting, and I like this. All right, 15.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 4 assists. She did have more people to pass it to, like a Paige. Those rookies in Dallas really showed out last season, and they have all those players back. They're just going to be a young team. They have the number one pick again, like I said. So Arike, Portland, Oregon. I can see it. I can see it. All right. Now moving on to A'ja Wilson. You guys had a lot of things to say about A'ja Wilson, the MVP, the WNBA champion, the Defensive Player of the Year. I think owners of the Aces would rather sell their kidney than give up A'ja Wilson. And so I have her staying in Las Vegas. She's not going anywhere. And this is a huge theme that I want everyone to recognize with free agents. Yes, there are a lot of free agents this offseason, but the superstars purposely, and everyone who did, they structure their contract knowing that the players were going to opt out of the CBA. Not a lot of them want to change teams. I think mostly they just want more money. Does A'ja Wilson deserve to be the highest paid player on a roster? Yes. Is she the highest paid player on the Aces right now? No. And that is because of salary cap issues and because our superstars aren't able to be paid like superstars. So everyone has stopped their contracts purposely along with this year so that they can make sure to get the bag. And A'ja Wilson's going to come back. And Mark Davis is going to say, A'ja Wilson, how much money do you want? We will put a statue out right now out front of Michelob Ultra to make sure that you don't leave Las Vegas. And I think that's exactly what they should do. And that's exactly what they will do. A'ja Wilson, they ain't going nowhere. And if they did, I think Aces fans would actively riot. They would be so upset. She is that type of player, and she is going to be with the Aces organization for her whole career. I could definitely see that. Totally see that. Okay. Like the Las Vegas Aces, because I also wanted to mention with A'ja wanting to come back to the Aces' entire starting five are free agents. Same with New York. Same with Minnesota, Atlanta. A lot of these players, or a lot of these teams, I should say, are having to either run it back if you pay them all that money, or every team is going to look so different. If the Aces run it back and they are able to pay all of these superstar players like they have been for so long, I can see them winning another championship. This is such a solid team, and I think the Aces the execs and owners know that as well. All right, let's go to the chat real quick. Asia's one of those players that don't move. Mike Blacks, I'm with you. Yeah, they ain't going nowhere with that. If they lost Asia, they are crazy. I agree with you. Arike to Portland, I'm with you right there. Phoenix got to run it back. All right, we're going to talk about Phoenix. We're going to talk about Phoenix a little bit later, Marcus. Stay with me. Stay with me. And Angel Reese now would make a fortune in Brooklyn. All right. Okay. Well, we'll talk about Angel after we talk about Skylar. All right. Skylar Diggins is a very interesting case because she has tested free agency multiple times. You know, she was drafted by the Tulsa Shock, which was the Dallas Wings organization. She's been on multiple teams since then. She has left in free agency or by demanding to be out of Dallas, of Phoenix, and now with Seattle. She wanted to be a free agent and partner with NECA. Now, it is hard to imagine Skylar not playing with NECA because they are like inseparable and they are super, super close. They have talked about it all season long. Skylar has just praised NECA as a teammate, as a leader, as a sister in this league. But hear me out. Another player that she has done that to and talked about is Nafisa Collier. So how about we get Skylar Diggins to Minnesota? Now I know that might mess up the arrangement of the stud buds because that's a lot of guards there. But Skylar to Minnesota to play with Fee. They have their hootie hoo alliance from Unrivaled, and they have that bond. They've played with each other in All-Stars, and they've just been in the league for a while. And I think they balance each other super, super well. This could be something where Cheryl Reeve is like, yeah, we used to be enemies, but let's be friends now. They've had some heated discussions with Skylar against Minnesota, but how about she just join them and partner up with Fee? I think what she can bring at the guard spot, her competitiveness, linking up with Minnesota, who's trying to get back to those finals, trying to get back to being a championship organization, adding Skylar could help that. That could be super fun to watch. And we don't have to only see Fee and Skylar play in Unrivaled or play against each other in Unrivaled. Skylar I feel like she had a solid season last year. It was really just the team of the Seattle Storm that had huge question marks over what was going to happen. What was going to happen to Noelle Quinn? What was, mid-season trades? Lee Giroux announced that she didn't want to be a part of the team anymore. Everything from years prior with Jewel Lloyd, like so much drama around Seattle. I could see someone like Skylar late in their career saying, I don't want to do free agency again. I'm just going to chill. Or her saying, I'm done with that. I just want to do me. I just want to play and have fun. And Minnesota might be one of those landing spots for her. Let's see. Bring Sky Diggs back to the Midwest and we miss her. Yeah, that was my bold prediction for the last time she was a free agent. I just swore that she was going to go to Indiana. I thought she was going to go home. I thought to play against her crowd, she was going to be with the Fever. But that did not happen. So I'm giving up on that theory. I'm sorry. But going to Minnesota could be great as well. All right. Let's move on to Angel Reese. Real quick in the chat, Angel Reese to Dallas to be with Paige and form the next WNBA dynasty. I mean, there's an option. Now, a lot of you might be saying Angel Reese is still on her rookie contract. You are correct. She is not a free agent. But if you have been living under a rock for the past year, let me inform you that it is bad, all the way bad for her and the Chicago Sky organization. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Let's check in on the poll here. Where would you want to see Angel? Dallas, Brooklyn, Atlanta, or keep her in Chicago? Wow, majority of you are saying keep her in Chicago. A lot would have to change, I think, for her to stay in Chicago. It just seems like there's no love there anymore. The ownership is talking about Angel. Angel's talking about the ownership. She's saying that they need to go out and get some hoopers in free agency, which they do. She doesn't want to lose. And I don't think that she should. I think that she is that star enough player. She should be the face of that Chicago Sky organization. They should be doing every single thing to make her happy. And it just doesn't seem that way. It seems so off there. So I say, and I think that she's going to try to get out of that situation. And there are plenty of landing spots. I actually like the idea of Washington, but they have a ton of draft picks that they could trade for her. That is probably my second option. But my first option would be Phoenix. I feel like the vibe there, and this is kind of a rumor that's been swirling around social media. She just loves Phoenix. She's tweeted multiple times how much she loves playing there. She loves the city, and the fans are like, "Hey, Angel, we love you too. Come play for us. Come to Phoenix. Come to the West." Now, with this, there would have to be some huge trade options and some huge things that they would have to move for Angel. I think and I would hope that Chicago Sky front office are listening to trades for Angel because she's just not happy. What would they do? Also hard to put a trade package right now when you have your big three that you signed last year that took you to the finals. All of them are free agents. Alyssa Thomas, Satu Sabli, Kalia Copper, all of those players are free agents. So it's hard for me to sit up here and say, okay, send Ka back to Chicago, put in Satu, then you get an Angel. Like it's so much influx of putting that trade package together. But I think Chicago, because they don't have their lottery pick that went to Minnesota, as you guys saw in the draft lottery, they are picking later in the draft. They gave up so many picks for Angel, for Haley Van Lith, and for Ariel Atkins to come on the team last year. Ariel Atkins is a free agent. So you did all that and you're not even guaranteed that she's going to come back to you next season. I don't get what's happening in the front office of Chicago, but if they are interested in trading for Angel, I think that Phoenix would be a really great landing spot. I think she would be happy there. I think she would be able to, I would hope that she would get to play with some of that star power in Alyssa Thomas or Satu or Ka. But maybe one of them would be on the trade block with her to be able to bring her there. I'm curious what the appetite around the league is for Angel Reese. I hope that there are so many offers, so many people are calling up Sky front office and saying, we see it. Everybody sees that this is about to implode. Let us save you. So I hope. But I also like the idea of the Mystics because the Mystics have all of these picks that Chicago doesn't have, and they can trade a lot of picks, and Chicago can be able to build on their team in the future. I love those picks for the Mystics, but bringing Angel back to the DMV would also be a really great option, and they have the picks to trade for them. Okay, Before we move on to the last one, let's go to the chat. What would the package be for Angel? I just answered that. Brandon, you said Skylar should take Kayla McBride's spot. Oh, I love Kayla McBride. I am a Kayla McBride super fan. Um, I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a different spot. I feel like Skylar is more of a Courtney Williams. I think Courtney Williams is a free agent, and we have seen her move to multiple teams in free agency. She has not been shy about her chasing the bag. All right. And so I think this idea of Minnesota able to retain Courtney Williams, they would have to pay her more than what she's getting paid now, which I think is around 170,000. She's gonna go where the money goes. Skylar could replace Courtney Williams if she were be able to fly the coop. Okay, you don't think Dallas is realistic? They have a ton of picks and cap space. For Angel, if this is regarding Angel, it's true. I don't know in this draft if they would be willing to give up that number one pick, and I feel like Chicago would want that. I feel like it would be it wouldn't be realistic to think that the Chicago Sky would not want that number one pick from the Dallas Wings for Angel Reese. And they're not going to get that, I don't think. So that's where that becomes not an offer to me. Kurt Miller was jumping up and down with that number one pick that he got again, back-to-back years, which has only happened a handful of times in WNBA history. They have a new coach. They have a lot of newness going on. I think bringing Angel in would be amazing, but I don't think he's given up that number one pick. And I think that's all there is to that. Skylar Diggins with Arike. Where are they? Are they in Seattle? Are they in... Skylar ain't going back to Dallas. I can tell you that right now. Are they in Portland? That would be fun. Just I guess I just want Portland and these expansion teams to have some star power right away. I just think that would be exciting if they can have that. If Skylar, I don't know how Skylar would go there. She would just have to really believe in it in free agency. I don't know. That's interesting. That's interesting. I would love a Notre Dame reunion with Arike and Skylar. Could be interesting. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about BG. Brittany Griner is a very interesting case because I can see this going multiple ways. The first time she ever tested free agency was last year. She had been with the Phoenix Mercury her entire career. She was drafted by Phoenix. And then she said that she was testing the free agency waters. Now, from what I heard, the breakup with Phoenix was bad. It was not great. And she went somewhere and wanted to just kind of get that fire back, that spark back to play again. She went to Atlanta. And I was really excited about it. Atlanta Dream were a great team last year. They were super, super exciting. I was very curious how she was going to fit into the new head coach, Carl Smesko, who is very much 3-point shooting, 3-and-D type of basketball. We saw that when she went there and Bree Jones went there, that these were very traditional bigs. How was that going to fit into that offense? Towards the middle to the end of the season, I would say about the middle of the season, BG started coming off the bench. And this was a completely different role for her. And it kind of showed. As we look at those stats, 9.8 points a game, 5 rebounds, 1 block. These are by far the lowest stats of her career. Now, this could just be one of those things that BG is getting older and she's going into year 14 and this is what her role is. But I think that she might still have a little more to give. This move would shake up the entire world. If she decides that, you know what, I don't want to come off the bench. I believe I'm still a starter. I'm going to go somewhere else. And wonder if she goes to the Aces. Wonder if BG goes to Las Vegas to play alongside Asia Wilson. A lot of the conversations that I've had, I host a podcast called The Women's Hoop Show. Cheryl Swoops, the legend, is one of my co-hosts. And when the Aces were struggling in those early months of the season, a lot of it came down to they need a big. They don't have a big to just back up Asia or to defend other teams' bigs. That was a lot of the conversation around it. Now, if you are an Aces fan or if you are a WNBA fan, you know that a few years ago it was Liz Campage with Asia Wilson. And that dynamic of just having a traditional big didn't really work out. But now I just feel like Asia is such a different beast. She can score wherever you put her. And I think BG would just help more defensively going up against some of the other teams' opposing bigs or just being able to be that next line of defense. I don't know. I think this would just completely rock the free agency world if BG was to go to Las Vegas or just really be on the move again after going to Atlanta, making it a huge deal to be in free agency again. I don't know. I think BG, I'm personally not ready to see her averaging less than 10 points a game. Like that seems wild to me, especially when you look at her career statistics. A former defensive player of the year. She is BG. So I think she just still has more to give. And maybe it's Las Vegas where they would love to have her. So Chelsea Gray throwing lobs to BG would be very, very fun. Very fun to watch. Very fun. Okay. BG needs to retire as a Phoenix Mercury. I don't think that's happening. I thought that was going to happen. I did not think that she was going to I did not think she was going to leave ever. She feels very synonymous with Phoenix, but I'm told it was not a nice breakup at all. At all. All right. That's my list for the moves and landing spots for WNBA stars. This offseason has been absolutely wild, and it is going to continue to be wild. The new deadline for the CBA is early January. Hopefully, we'll have some answers then, and hopefully, we'll have some answers about the expansion draft, especially. I think we have a ton of free agents. I think we have a lot of exciting news that is going to be on the horizon. And don't forget, we have Unrivaled coming before free agency. And last year, that was a huge campus for conversations and negotiations and all of these players to talk to each other to try to get them on their team. Now, almost everyone at Unrivaled is going to be a free agent. So if you think they ain't going to be talking about where should I play or who do I want to play with, then you are out of your mind. It's going to be super exciting, and I, for one, cannot wait. Thanks so much for listening to me rant about all of this WNBA news. It has been so fun, and can't wait to do it again next week. Thanks, guys. See you again soon.